The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 28. Horia said, "Sister Lien, let me introduce to you. This is a poker friend I told you before. Her name is Elaine. Like you, she also likes playing mahjong and she has very good skills in cards. She has always been willing to bet and lose." Elaine hurriedly said to this woman at this time, "Hello, Sister Lien." Sister Lien nodded lightly and smiled. "It just so happens that I have been missing a permanent long-term poker friend. If you are interested, you can often come and play with me and with Horia in the future." Elaine hurriedly said, "Oh, that's really great. To tell you the truth, I have a regular poker friend but she is going to the United States. I can't find a regular poker player to play cards." Sister Lien stretched out her hand and said to Elaine politely, "Hello Elaine, my name is Lien, welcome." Elaine shook hands with her quickly. Lien said again, "Oh, you see, my villa is basically idle after it's installed, so I just used it as a venue for my sisters to play mahjong." Elaine was envious. Such a big villa, used to play mahjong, is really more luxurious than Shalaine's. Immediately, she looked around the Thompson first-class villa. The decoration of this villa can be considered very luxurious, but it is not as big as the one Solomon White gave to Charlie. The villa Solomon White gave to Charlie was the largest unit in the entire Thompson, and the Lien set was the smallest in the Thompson villa. But even the smallest units are already very large for most people. So she asked Lien, "Sister Lien, how much did you spend on buying this villa?" Lien was stunned, and then hurriedly said, "Hey, it didn't cost much, the total was about 80 million. In fact, this villa is not Lien's at all, but a film and television company's property. After the film and television company bought the villa, it renovated it and built it into an indoor shooting location. Some time ago, a TV series called New Love Apartment was completed here, but the TV series is still in post-production. After the TV series was completed, the villa was just vacant. The next TV series will not start filming until 1 month, so it is temporarily rented out to recover the cost." In order to set up a set for Elaine, Horia rented this villa for a price of 5,000 a day, and prepared to do a game here, to take Elaine's nothing, to report Elaine's insult on the day. The best thing is to pit Charlie's villa over, so that he can turn himself over. Elaine didn't know that all of this was a trap against her. She thought that she was lucky today and met a bully and could develop into a long-term cash machine. So she looked at Lien with a flattering expression and said, "Oh, Sister Lien, let's play cards together. That's really suitable. Next month, our family will move into the Thompson villa. My son-in-law's villa is at a 05. Lien had long known that she had a villa in Thompson. If it weren't for this villa, she would not have come to cooperate with Horia and pit Elaine's savings. This woman is in her 50s. She has been a croupier in Macau casinos for 30 years. She is definitely one of the best in the wave of poker, whether it's mahjong, pai gow, or sieve. She can play superbly. This time, Horia promised her that Horia would find the wrongdoer and kill the game. She would provide technical support, and the benefits would be divided between equally. Therefore, Elaine thought that Lien was the cash machine, and Lien regarded her as a big fat pig, and was about to split her in half and split her into half with Horia. Everyone has their own ghosts, and can't wait to start this killing pan. So Lien clapped her hands, greeted another woman, and said with a smile, "Come on, this is Nivea, who is also my old friend, but she is not very good at the game. Let's just start with the four of us." Elaine also said excitedly, "Okay, get started. To be honest, my hands are itchy." Lien smiled slightly and suggested, "Today is the first time I play mahjong with Elaine's sister. Let's not play too much. Let's start with 1,000 and cap it 64 times. What?" Elaine was shocked in her heart and blurted out, 1,000 times, 64 times the cap. If this is a capped by Lien, a hand can be more than 60,000, do they usually play such a big one? Lien smiled and waved her hand and said, "Sister Elaine, is this still a big one? To be honest, this is the smallest one I have played. The other day when I was fighting with others, it was 3,000 or 5,000. Up, maybe even 10,000. Then, she pointed to Horia, who was sitting next to Elaine, and said, "The last time Horia played 5,000 games with me, I lost more than 1 million in a short time, and Horia won 30 by herself." "More than 10,000, right?" Horia hurriedly said, "Oh, Sister Lien, you are still too rich. I can't remember how much money I lost. Last time I lost more than 2 million. I won more than 50. Min won." The woman named Nivea smiled and said, "Oh, I won a little more than 100 that day." "For Sister Lien, isn't this drizzle?" Lien smiled and said, "To be honest, this little money is really nothing. My husband made a few 100 million easily when he was young. It is nothing for me to lose 30 to 50 million in cards." When Elaine heard these words, her heart was so excited. This Lien is simply a super fool. What's more, she have Horia to cooperate with her, and she will definitely win a big win at that time. Therefore, Elaine immediately dispelled the doubts and worries she had just now, and said with a smile, "If Sister Lien is okay, then let's get 1,000. Lien nodded and smiled, and said, "Then I will start playing dice." "Okay." Elaine rubbed her hands, already feeling a little excited. After Lien played the dice, she immediately began to take the lead. Soon, the four people have set the first card straight. Elaine dealt with the card and was very excited. It's really luck that can't stop it. In this hand, she really want to have anything. There are only 3 sides on one side and 20,000 in one hand. These 2 cards are placed on one card, and she can draw immediately. So Elaine was very excited, and began to look forward to drawing a card she lacked. After being unable to touch the cards for a few laps, she thought of her agreement with Horia, so she sent her a code, asking for 3. Horia also immediately understood her intentions, and hurriedly gave her a 3 shot. 3. "Oh, I'll eat." Elaine was very happy, took the 3 in front of her, and played a card with a smile, 8 tubes. After speaking, Elaine triumphantly said, "I have a draw." Lien asked in surprise, "No, sister, did you draw so soon?" Elaine smiled and said, "Yes, the cards are pretty smooth." Lien nodded and said, then I hope I won't fire a gun." After finishing speaking, she stretched out her hand and threw out a 20,000, and said, "20,000. When Elaine saw her throw 20,000 out, she couldn't help but immediately pushed the card and shouted, "Haha, I have 20,000. Oh." Lien deliberately said annoyedly, "Why are my hands so unwilling? Why did I play this card?" Elaine hurriedly said, "Hey, Sister Lien, we have already said yes. If this card falls, you will die. You can't go back." Lien said, "Don't worry, Sister Elaine, I'm not that kind of person. You fired this gun. You will definitely not be short of money." Horia also helped her and said, "Yes, Elaine, for Sister Lien, playing mahjong for 1,000 is all small money. It's mainly for fun." At this time, Lien had already handed over 24,000 to Elaine and said, "You are a 24 fan, right? A total of 24,000. You count." Elaine was so excited that she took the money and counted it, then excitedly put it aside and continued to play mahjong with them. Subsequently, Elaine's card luck was surprisingly good. Basically any hand of cards is surprisingly good. Coupled with Horiya's help, Elaine almost always wins. After 3 rounds of cards, Elaine lost a total of 2 rounds. The other rounds kept winning, and 3 rounds of mahjong had won more than 300,000. She used to play mahjong, and she won at most 10,000. How could she have seen so much money? And when she counted the money, she found that she had won more than 300,000, and her excited eyes were red. At this time, when the cards were shuffled again, Horiya couldn't help coughing slightly when the fire was almost over. Lien, who was sitting at the poker table, changed her face a little, and knew immediately that it was time to close the net. "Feed the pigs, it's time to kill the pigs." Immediately afterwards, Lien yawned and said, "Oh, it's so boring to play 1,000 mahjong, I'm almost falling asleep, or let's play a little bigger, it will refresh me." Horiya smiled and said, "I can do it." After speaking, she looked at Elaine and asked with a smile, "Elaine, what do you think?" Elaine didn't know that she had fallen into a trap at this time. She felt that she had made more than 300,000 so easily. If she played a little bigger, she would make more than 3 million in a while. She, who was in the mood, had no idea what to do if she lost. So she was very excited and said, "Okay, then let's play bigger." Lien nodded, stretched her waist, and said lightly, "Then you can pay 10,000. It's boring to be too small." After that, she added, "It doesn't matter if you guys are too big. I happen to have a neighbor who likes to play smaller mahjong. I can ask her to do it for me and I will go upstairs and sleep for a while." 10,000. Elaine was stunned. Is this a bit too big? It might be too scary to lose 500,000 or 600,000 with one hand. At this time, Horiya always winked at her, and said with a smile, 10,000 is okay, Elaine, you are so lucky. If you want to really play 10,000, you won't say making 5 million today. As soon as she heard about 5 million, Elaine's sanity disappeared. If she doesn't agree, Lien will probably ask her neighbor to come and help her fight, so how can she find a bully and make herself a few million? So she nodded excitedly and said, "Okay." Then pay 10,000. Okay. Lien smiled slightly and said, come on, let's start. The money is too big, let's use mobile banking to transfer money, it is convenient. The other three also agreed and said, okay, I'll pay 10,000. After reaching a consensus, everyone began to draw cards again. After Elaine drew all the cards, she flipped the cards she was holding up, and straightened out the cards, and suddenly screamed in excitement. Her card turned out to be the best. The so-called tianting means that the cards have been drawn as soon as they are drawn. What a lot of luck it takes to have such a good hand. Moreover, the cards she won are very good. She has a pair of 7 to 80,000, winning 60,000 and 90,000. Generally speaking, as long as 10,000 or 90,000 are in the hands of others, if they don't hold right or go smoothly, they will definitely be played. That is to say, from now on, as long as someone beats 190,000, you will be fooled. Moreover, such a day draw can get the highest multiple by calling it directly. Thinking of this, she was excited to buckle all the cards, and said excitedly, I have a draw. Lien was surprised and said, Sister Elaine, so amazing, you listened to it as soon as you came up. Yes. Elaine said with an unbearable smile, I don't know what's wrong, I feel very lucky today. Lien nodded and said, it seems that you are destined to win today. After finishing talking, Lien, who was sitting on the bank, straightened out the cards and flipped up the 4 cards and said, concealed. Elaine was surprised and said, oh, Sister Lien has a concealed bar when she starts the card. It's amazing. Lien smiled and said, you didn't look at my other cards, it's so bad to die. Elaine reminded, by the way, Sister Lien, if you draw, the concealed bar must be revealed. Of course. Lien nodded and said with a smile, the draw will definitely show up for you, don't worry. Because Elaine has already called a draw, she can't switch to right now, and hit whatever she draws until she draws or someone fires a cannon. But she didn't know, at this time, Lien's hidden card was 90,000. There are 4 and 60,000, Horia and Nivya each have 2. Just as Elaine was anxiously catching and playing, Lien suddenly smiled and said, oh, I'm also drawing. After speaking, she turned over the 4 cards of her hidden one. Elaine looked at these 4 cards and suddenly felt dizzy. What a bad luck! Lien actually concealed 90,000. No wonder she couldn't catch 90,000 in this long time, and no one shot 90,000. Depressed, Elaine couldn't help but think to himself, although 90,000 are gone, but 60,000 hasn't come out yet, which means she still has a chance. She wanted to send Horia a secret signal and ask her to give herself a 60,000. However, if you think about it carefully, everyone's mahjong game is to win 3 by oneself and 1 by 1. If you let Horia play a 60,000 shot, then Horia will not be able to give money. Isn't it a waste of money? Such a good hand? So she decided to rely on herself or someone else to fire the gun instead of Horia. If Horia fired a shot of 60,000 by herself, she would be embarrassed. Horia must give the money to her. When it was Elaine's turn to draw the card, she felt like a million as soon as she started to touch it. She was suddenly excited, and when she lifted it up, she was suddenly disappointed. It turned out to be 80,000. Bad luck. If she was a little bit smaller, just let grab 60,000, and you would feel it yourself. In that case, a family of 640,000, that is nearly 2 million. But Elaine was also comforting herself in her heart. 80,000 have come, will 60,000 be far away? So, she beat out 80,000 casually, and said, 80,000. Hey! Lien knocked down the card all at once, and said excitedly, I heard 5 to 80,000, all of them, the door is clear, and there is a concealed card. The total is 48, and 48 is 480,000. Sister Elaine, I'm sorry. Elaine is like an ice cellar. A single shot can cost 480,000? I only won more than 300,000 in a long time, but I paid it all back, not to mention, I got another 100,000. This is 100,000. Elaine felt extremely uncomfortable, and her whole mentality was a little broken. Horia hurriedly persuaded her, Oh, Elaine, there is no way to win all the time in card games. You have won so many hands. It doesn't matter if you lose, you are back again after winning. Lien also smiled and said, Yes, it's just a handful of cards. We have to play a few laps today. Elaine is a little more comfortable now, but she is also suffocating in her heart, and must win back the lost money. Immediately, she used mobile banking to give Lien 480,000, and the game continued. However, in the next hand, Elaine collapsed even more. Turned it over and saw what kind of broken cards are these. Either one is missing or 9 is broken, and there is also one missing. There is not even a pair of bobbins and slivers in one hand. If you want to draw such a card, you have to play at least 7 or 8 cards to be possible. She is going to collapse. How to fight this? It's estimated that everyone is playing cards, and she hasn't made up 2 decks of cards yet. And the other 3 people on the table were all excited, as if the cards were all good. Horia was the first to draw. Then Lien and Nivea. Seeing that the 3 of them had all drawn, Elaine anxiously scratched her heart, fearing a shot, and secondly fearing that some of the 3 would touch themselves. Seeing that his card is getting hopeless, Elaine is even more anxious. At this time, she reached out and touched one, feeling that this card was 80% safe, so she threw the card out and said, This. You shouldn't even want this card, right? Nivea next to her said excitedly, Haha, I'm going crazy, she is right. Horia said with some embarrassment, Hey, I'm crazy too. Lien smiled and said at this time, Oh, I'm too foolish. 13. Elaine looked at the cards of these 3 houses, and they all won hers. This one hit her with 1 shot. This is terrible. With this hand alone, Elaine lost 180 times, which is 1.8 million. Elaine's whole person already felt the sky spinning. What happened? Suddenly she lost 2 games in a row, and 2 games lost more than 2 million, which is too cruel. Moreover, Elaine doesn't have much money now, and all the deposits in her hand add up to more than 2 million. After such a calculation, there is at most 2 to 3 million left. Elaine wanted to cry without tears, but Nivea was already urging, Sister Elaine, let's settle the bill first, so we can move on. When she heard that she was going to check out, Elaine's expression was very ugly. One was 1.8 million, she couldn't be willing to give it. The other three exchanged glances, or Horia came out to persuade her and said, Elaine, it doesn't matter if you lose 2. If you are lucky, you will win with 2 more. If you don't play now, you will lose. But you really can't come back. After that, she said again, last time we played cards together, Niven also lost 2 or 3 million, and finally won 2 million with a 4-year self-draw, followed by another 3 self-draw. It's another 2 million, and it will make a lot of money at once. Although Horia tried to stabilize Elaine's mentality, in fact Elaine's mentality at this time had collapsed. To put it bluntly, she does have a set of mahjong, but the brand is really stinky. The biggest problem is not being able to lose, and all emotions are on her face. For example, she would be excited for a long time if she slapped her, but when her card happened to be stopped by someone else, she would grin and wait for her to be eaten alive. She won 3 laps, and finally won more than 300,000, but she lost 2 big ones at once. Naturally, it was very uncomfortable. Not only did she win 300,000 and lost all, she also lost 200. In the early days, this really lost half of her life savings. Elaine hasn't made much money in her life, and her husband has no skills, so it is very rare to save 2 million. When she was buying P2P financial management, she almost lost a lot of money. Fortunately, Charlie came forward and asked for the profit. Later, she even misrepresented her daughter's rent refund of more than 100,000, plus the little money that Jacob made by dumping antiques, and the total amount was 2 million. As a result, in the 2 cards games, they were almost all lost. Seeing that her face was green, Liane deliberately agitated her and said, Sister Elaine, do you still want to play? You don't feel sorry for the money, right? Only more than 2 million, you can even afford Thompson's first product. The big villa, isn't this little pocket money for you? Play. Why don't play? Elaine's face twitched slightly, and said, This little money is not a problem, mainly for fun, let's continue. Just to be happy. Money doesn't count. The other 2 followed. At this time, Elaine had no idea that the other 3 not only cooperated with each other, but also calculated her to death. This automatic mahjong table, when shuffling the cards, you can directly shuffle the cards according to the predetermined plan. Even throw the dice can be controlled. In this way, Liane can distribute the cards she wants to everyone in accordance with her own requirements. In the last hand, Elaine got the card, but the 60,000 and 90,000 were already divided by the other 3 people. Therefore, Elaine's card was already a dead end as long as the 3 of them didn't fire a gun. She can never win. But Elaine doesn't know this. After Elaine got the Tianting card, she was naturally confident. Although she didn't win in the end, she also felt that she just missed the goal. It was this mentality that made her more impulsive to fight. Next, Liane used her mobile phone to control the mahjong machine and gave Elaine a little water. Elaine won 2 hands in a row, both hands were neat, but there is nothing to do, winning is just a shit. Therefore, Elaine only won 100,000 in total with the 2, which is a drop in the bucket compared to what she lost. Elaine's mentality has become more unstable. Losing 2 can lose more than 2 million, and winning 2 can only win 100,000. Is this too disgusting? Can't she let herself fight 2 big ones? Thinking of this, she gritted her teeth, ready to smash to the end with these 3 people. The game continues. With this hand, Elaine has 3 east, 3 west, 3 south, and 2 north, and the other 2 are 2 red. Elaine was stunned when she saw this deck of cards. This deck of cards is Tianting again, winning the 2. More importantly, if you can get a north wind, it will be 3 in the south, east, and north. This is a big 4. The big 4 can win the biggest number. If you can touch a north wind, you can return 2 million. Thinking of this, she shouted directly with excitement, and then began to feel the north wind. She felt that whether it might not be of much use to others, and ordinary people would definitely type it out after taking it, so even if she couldn't touch it, she could at least wait for others to fire it. However, how did she know that this hand was already done? The north wind and Hongzhong that she needs are all in the hands of Nivea, that is to say, like the previous hand of the day, her hand is a dead end that can never be won. Elaine waited hard for north wind and Hongzhong. She waited for several rounds and didn't wait until after Lian drew a card. She knocked it down and said with a smile, "Oh, I'm drawing it myself again. This time it's in front of the gate. A total of 48 times, clear, all, and right." Nivea saw that she was touching 6 of them, and hurriedly said, "Oh, Sister Lian, you are the last 6. I have 3 in my hand. You are over the moon." "Oh, it's really the moon." Lian happily clapped her hands and said, "Then add 8 times, 56 times for a family, or 560,000. Elaine felt dizzy. Only 200,000 are left in her own bank card, and this one loses another 560,000, how can she afford it? Elaine couldn't help pulling Horia over, and asked in a low voice, "Sister-in-law, tell you the truth, I don't have much money, can you lend me a little?" Horia cursed secretly in her heart that deserved it, but said in a pretentious manner, "Sister, I don't have this, you don't know the situation of the Wilson family." Elaine hurriedly asked, "No, you and your eldest brother went to see the villa last time. Anyway, an old villa costs more than 10 million? Can you borrow hundreds of thousands?" Horia sighed and said, "The money was all taken away by the dead Lady Wilson to fill the hole in the Wilson group." Elaine said anxiously, "Then what should I do? I don't have enough money to give. If I can't continue to fight, what can I do to turn over?" At this time, Lian said, "Sister Elaine, you don't have any money, are you? If you don't play, please settle this account quickly." Elaine couldn't do it anxiously, and said with a smile, "How come I don't have money, but I didn't bring so much? Can I owe this account first? When the 8 laps are finished, we will make the knot together." She felt that she had to find a way to win the money back today. If she doesn't fight now, the more than 2 million will be lost forever. She thought that Lian was so rich, and often lost millions at a time, she should not care about the money. She was very talkative, and she should be able to agree to her request. Unexpectedly, Lian's face suddenly became cold, and she said sharply, "Sister Elaine, you can't do this. Playing mahjong is the result of every win or loss. How can there be any reason to owe it? It was given to you right away. Why do you want to go back on the bill now that you lose? Lien said again, besides, if you don't take out the money, you still have to play mahjong with us. Isn't that the empty glove white wolf? If you win, it's okay to say, if you lose, what will we do? Elaine's face flushed, and could not speak. Lien looked at her and said with some contempt, I heard Horia say that your card is good, so I am willing to play with you. If you are unwilling to pay to continue playing, please put these 160,000 knots, this is the end of today, no more play. Elaine has completely fallen into the pit now. She didn't realize that she was pitted. All she thought was about winning the money back. Therefore, when Lien said that she would not play, Elaine immediately became excited, and blurted out, how can I say that I don't want to play and stop playing? After saying that I will play 8 laps, only 3 laps. Lien said helplessly, Sister, it's not that I don't want to play with you, the point is that you have no money. After that, Lien said again, let's take a step back. You settle the money first, and then we can always play a little bit smaller. I will accompany you if we play 1,000 or 100. Play 1,000? 100. Elaine was anxious, and blurted out, how can I do it? If I play such a small game, I can only win the ear of the monkey. Lien reluctantly said, then if you want to continue to play 10,000, you have to take out the money first, otherwise I won't play, and this is the end of today. Horia hurriedly sang red face and said, Sister Lien, Elaine really doesn't have so much money in her hands. We are all friends. You give accommodations. After speaking, she did not forget to wink at Lien. Lien immediately understood, and said, well, from Horia's face, if you don't have cash, you can take other things of equal value as collateral. As soon as these words came out, Elaine suddenly seemed to have grasped the last straw. She hurriedly said, the house I live in now is a 3-bedroom house, which is worth a small 2 million. I will mortgage the house to you. Is this all right? That's okay. Lien said with a smile, but you have to get the real estate certificate first, and then write me a mortgage contract. Elaine blurted out, okay, you are waiting for me, I will go back to get the real estate certificate. After speaking, Elaine hurriedly got up and was about to leave. Lien hurriedly stopped her and said, hey, don't worry, Sister Elaine, you haven't given me the 560,000 just now. Elaine looked at the balance of the mobile bank and found that it was only 260,000, so she said, Sister Lien, I only have 260,000, I will transfer it to you, and the rest will wait until I take the room book. Deduct from the mortgaged money, this head office. It's okay. Lien said, then you first write me an IOU for 300,000, and then you go, otherwise, if you don't return, who should I go for 300,000? Am I right? Elaine just wanted to take the room book and continue to fight with them until she turned over. So when she heard this, she nodded without hesitation and said, okay, I will pay you an IOU. Lien immediately brought paper and pen. Elaine wrote an IOU for 300,000 owed on it, and then pressed another fingerprint, and Lien let her go. As soon as Elaine got out of Thompson's first product, she hurriedly drove home. She calculated that her daughter must be busy in the company, and her husband and son-in-law must still be attending the class reunion. She hurriedly went back and took the room book before coming back. They would definitely not find it. In this way, she can continue to fight with them until the turnover. Soon, Elaine took the book from the house and returned to the villa. After Lien got the house book, she immediately searched the second-hand house quotation of the same type in this community with her mobile phone, and found that the lowest quotation was only 1.8 million. The unit size is only 1.8 million, and the general bank mortgage only recognizes 90% of market value, so if she can only mortgage 1.62 million. Elaine just wanted to continue playing cards quickly so that she could turn over, so she blurted out, "Then it will be mortgaged with 1.62 million. I owe 300,000, and you can just give me 1.32 million. Let's continue to fight, what do you think?" Lien said, "That's okay, but we have to draw up a mortgage contract. If you lose or don't accept it, I will care who wants the money, right?" Elaine said impatiently, "Then hurry up, sign early and continue early." Later, after she finished the contract with Lien and pressed her fingerprints, Lien transferred her 1.32 million back from the mobile bank. But she didn't care at all, because she knew that the 1.32 million was transferred to Elaine's account and would come back soon. Elaine secretly made up her mind at this time, she must bring back all the profits. Then immediately put into the game. But she never dreamed that she would have entered the 1.32 million in just half an hour. Elaine had completely lost her eyes at this time. At the moment when all the money was lost, she was extremely unwilling to say, "Come again." Lien said, "Sister, you don't have any money anymore. Come again, if you lose again, what will you pay?" Elaine suddenly didn't know how to answer this question. She is indeed exhausted. All the savings in the family were entered, even the only house. Now, she has nothing to mortgage. However, with sharp eyes, Lien recognized the jade bracelet on her wrist and blurted out, "Oh, I think your bracelet is good." Bracelet. Elaine looked down at her wrist, and then remembered that she still has a valuable treasure. This bracelet was a gift specially given by Qin Gang, the patriarch of the Qin family, to curry favor with her son-in-law, Charlie. Charlie gave this bracelet to his daughter Claire. Claire stole it by her before she wore it, and later blatantly took it and refused to return it. It was just a bracelet, Charlie didn't care, and Claire was too embarrassed to ask his mother for it, so this bracelet was always on her hand. Elaine hurriedly took off the bracelet, handed it to Lien, and said with red eyes, "This bracelet, but the finest Laokang jade, when I bought it for 5 million, you have to mortgage me 4 million, right?" Lien took the bracelet, looked at it carefully, and was shocked. This bracelet is indeed top quality, old pit jade, and it also carries a variety of very good things. 5 million is not expensive. However, she herself has been in the casino for many years. How to cheat people, how to take advantage of the fire, she is simply a connoisseur. So she smiled, handed the bracelet back to Elaine, and said with a smile, "Sister Elaine, your bracelet is good, but to be honest, it's not worth 5 million, but at most hundreds of thousands. How is it possible? Elaine blurted out, this thing was bought for 5 million, and I have seen the receipt. If you buy 5 million, you may not really be able to sell it for 5 million. Lien smiled disdainfully, the jade business itself is extremely watery. If you are slaughtered, you will be slaughtered. You can never come again. After that, Lien said again, let's do it, for the sake of everyone's good relationship, I will mortgage you 1 million for this bracelet, which is the most. If you are willing, you can sign it. If you don't want it, forget it. Elaine had long been gambling, and blurted out, I am willing. Horia said at this time, oh, Elaine, or just forget it today. If you pledge 1 million for this bracelet, it is estimated that 2 or 3 will be gone. Why bother? When Lien heard this, she nodded and said, she is right. 1 million is really not a big deal. Why don't we make an appointment another day? No. Elaine suddenly became anxious and blurted out, you think I have no money, don't you? Tell you, my Lady Wilson still has a villa, which is in Thompson First Grade A05, worth 130 million. Horia hurriedly said, oh, isn't that villa owned by Charlie? Can you use it as a mortgage? Elaine was anxious and blurted out, of course I can. Why not? He is my son-in-law. If he dares to refuse by then, I will show him his death. Horia had known for a long time that the first-grade villa of Thompson was given to Charlie by Solomon White. Therefore, if she wants to win this villa from Elaine, she has to push Elaine first. Once Elaine is impatient, Charlie would definitely not be able to sit back and watch. At that time, there will be a great opportunity to get the villa. Therefore, Horia said to Elaine, you have lost so much. I think it will be difficult for you to win it back after 10,000. How about we raise the price? How about 50,000? Anyway, you have won. It's not a lot of money to cover the villa, but if you get lucky, you can win back all the money you lost in 2 games. Elaine has lost her mind now, and just wants to get all the money back quickly. Upon hearing this, she immediately nodded in agreement and blurted out, then it will cost 50,000. Lien said, you don't have the real estate certificate for that villa. Elaine said, it doesn't matter, that's my son-in-law's, and my son-in-law's is mine. Lien shook her head, without the real estate certificate, there is no way to mortgage too much money, because it is risky for me. As she said, she stretched out 5 fingers and said, well, you sign an agreement for me. You mortgage the villa to me. I can lend you 50 million in total. Every time I give you 5 million, you lose everything. I'll give it to you again. Elaine nodded, and said, 50 million is 50 million, and 50 million is enough for me to make money back. Lien smiled slightly and said, that's it, after signing the agreement, let's continue. Elaine signed without hesitation, used Thompson's villa as a mortgage, and first borrowed 5 million from Lien. As a result, she lost 5 million in only 3 rounds of mahjong for 50,000. Lien smiled and said at this time, oh, don't worry, there are still 45 million, I will transfer you another 5 million. Then, he transferred the 5 million that she had just won to Elaine's mobile bank. As a result, the second 5 million was lost again. Elaine is about to collapse. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 million deposits were lost and the house was gone. She mortgaged Charlie's Thompson first-class villa and lost a full 10 million. Gambling itself is a psychological black hole. Once one falls in, it is difficult to climb out, and it will gradually be swallowed by the black hole. Many people are involved in gambling, and it is difficult for them to go ashore in their lifetime. The reason is that they cannot control the psychology and state of falling into it. People like Elaine can't be immune. She has completely gambled on red eye now, just thinking about continuing to bet, turning over anyway. However, she is like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in this carefully planned game, without any possibility of turning over. 5 million after another came and lost. The 5 million is Elaine's over 2 million, plus the 2 million that Horia used as bait, repeatedly lent to Elaine and then wins back, lent to her and then wins back. An afternoon of effort, the 50 million mortgaged villas also lost. Lien told Elaine, "Sister Elaine, I'm really sorry, you have lost all your 50 million. Elaine was going crazy and blurted out, "My villa is worth more than 1 billion, you can't just give me 50 million. You give me another 50 million, and I pledge 100 million. I'm sorry." Lien smiled slightly and said, "We have already written it in black and white. The total is 50 million. According to our agreement, you have 3 days to raise money. If you raise money, it will be 5,000. 10,000 plus 5 million in interest, a total of 55 million. When you pay back the money, the villa will not be mortgaged to me, but if you can't take out 55 million, then I'm sorry, the villa is mine, that's it." Elaine blurted out, "No, that villa is not mine, it belongs to my son-in-law, it doesn't count as I said it." At this time, Elaine felt that she could not enter the villa in any way, because the villa belonged to Charlie. Once she asked Charlie for it, her daughter and husband would know that she lost so much money and lost the house. They all know about losing the villa. So she hurriedly said to Lien, "Sister Lien, you have won me more than 2 million in cash and a house. Let me go for this house. You have won so much and you have already made a lot of money." Upon hearing this, Lien's face suddenly changed. She changed her face and said coldly, "Elaine, you can't afford to repay the bill, right? You really think Lien is a bully? If you don't pay the money, don't blame me for turning my face and denying people." Elaine hurriedly cried and said, "Sister Lien, do it well, the villa is really not mine, I really can't give it to you." Lien was indifferent, and said coldly, "I tell you, you don't tell me these useless nonsense, you must either pay the money or give me the villa, otherwise, I will let my nephew ask you to collect the debt." As he said, Lien said again, "My nephew is a fool. If you don't pay the money, be careful that he chops your hands off." Elaine cried bitterly and said, "You killed me, I can't get 55 million, Sister Lien." As she said, she hurriedly begged Horia and said, "Sister-in-law, can you say something nice to me, isn't Sister Lien your friend? Sister Lien doesn't care about money? Let her let me go this time, please." "Can you?" Horia said helplessly, "Sorry Elaine, I really can't help you with this, after all, you have lost too much money." Although she said so, Horiya's heart was so refreshing. Ha ha! Elaine, this stinky lady, let you show off your wealth in front of me, and dare to taunt me? Now you know the fate of offending me, right? Your savings, your house, and your son-in-law's villa are all mine. From now on, you Elaine will have nothing. When Elaine saw that it was useless to beg her, she hurriedly knelt in front of Lien, holding Lien's leg, and cried out, "Sister Lien, you are so rich, so don't push me to death, can you? I can't come up with so much money." Lien kicked her off in disgust, and said in disgust, "Don't follow me in this way. Why didn't you say to return a little when you won? Now that you have lost your money, let me save you a few. 10 million debts, where does your face come from?" Elaine was kicked to the ground and hurriedly got up, crying and said, "Sister Lien, I really don't have so much money for you." Lien hugged her shoulders and said coldly, "Then let your son-in-law come over and transfer the villa to me." Elaine hurriedly said, "No, in that case, our whole family will know, my husband will divorce me." Lien looked at Elaine coldly at this time, and blurted out, "Elaine, do you want to pay the bill, do you? Okay, you wait, I will call my nephew now and ask him to come over. Today you will not owe me pay off the money, or give me the villa, I will immediately let him beat you into a half-body." At this moment, Lien revealed her true shape. The killing plate has officially entered the final stage. Elaine saw that Lien was completely a murderous expression at this time. How could there be the shadow of the former rich woman? So she suddenly realized that she might have been cheated. Looking at Horiya again, she felt that something was wrong. Why would she take the initiative to apologize to her today, and then take the initiative to invite herself to play mahjong? Is it all related to her? And this Lien? Doesn't she know how to play mahjong? Why can she win so much money from her? Thinking of this, she suddenly realized that she was probably fooled. She pointed at Horiya furiously, and blurted out, "Horiya, you shameless dog, you even colluded with others to set up a situation to cheat me." Horiya was taken aback for a moment, and said unnaturally, "Elaine, what are you talking about? If you lose money, you say I cheated you? You didn't see that I still lost money today." Elaine scolded angrily, "You don't play with me here. You said you gave me a secret signal before, why didn't you give me a card?" Horiya said with a dodging expression, "What are you talking about? I don't understand at all. You should return the money to Sister Lien as soon as possible. Don't talk about these useless things with me." Lien also looked at Elaine coldly, and said, "Elaine, I tell you, hurry up to pay the money, or take out the villa, no more excuses." Elaine's vixen came up, and pushed the mahjong on the table to the ground, cursing, "Are ganging up to lie to me. I won't pay any money." Lien frowned, "No, right? Okay, wait, I'll call my nephew over." After speaking, Lien immediately took out her mobile phone and called. When Elaine heard that her nephew was a gangster and wanted to call, she was anxious and shouted, Don't! If you have something to discuss, Sister Lien." Lien ignored her. The phone was connected quickly, and she opened her mouth and said, "My nephew, someone owes me tens of millions. Come and ask for the money. Then I will buy you a BMW." As soon as this word came out, an angry voice came from the other end of the phone. Hey? Ergu, anyone dare to owe you the money? I think she doesn't want to hang out in Oris Hill, right? Where are you? Lead someone over immediately and see how I can clean her up. Lien hurriedly said, okay. I'm at Thomson First Product C11, come on. After hanging up the phone, she looked at Elaine proudly, and said with a sneer, my nephew is coming soon, I advise you to find a way to raise money quickly, or ask your son-in-law to transfer the villa to me, otherwise, wait for him to come. You are careful not to eat. At this moment, Elaine was deeply regretful, and she wished to slap herself several times. Why is she so obsessed with money? She has to promise Horia to come over and play mahjong with this bunch of Kuo's ladies. It's all right now, not to mention all of her net worth. She also mortgaged Charlie's villa. If Charlie is unwilling to use his villa to pay off her debts, what can she do? Thinking of this, Elaine felt desperate. At this moment, there was a sudden rush of footsteps outside. Afterwards, a burly man stepped into the door, behind him, followed by a dozen of his men, all of whom were 5 big and 3 thick, with a cold face. They were not good at first sight. As soon as he entered the door, the man made a calm face and asked in a cold voice, who dares not pay back the money they owe my second aunt? Lien pointed at Elaine immediately and said, Ron, that's her. The visitor was her eldest nephew, Ron He. Ron's icy gaze fell on Elaine, and said, okay, don't you still owe money? Do you know who I am? Don't you want to hang out in Oris Hill? Elaine was so scared that she trembled and said, I really have no money. Lien said coldly, stop talking nonsense with me, take out the villa if you have no money, let's clean it up. Elaine collapsed and shouted, I have no money. I have so much money. I don't have so much money. If you kill me, you can't have it. Ron stepped forward, grabbed Elaine by the hair, and slapped her face severely. With a snap, Elaine's cheeks and nosebleeds were all drawn out. Elaine sat on the ground and yelled in embarrassment. Ron slapped her again and cursed, give me a ha, and I will tear your mouth. Elaine was shocked, and immediately closed her mouth, looking at Ron, not even daring to let out the atmosphere. Ron kicked Elaine to the ground, stomped her face with his toes, and stomped her to the ground, and asked coldly, I'll ask you again, why don't you pay the money? Elaine was beaten in severe pain, and she cried and wailed, Sister Lien, for the sake of everyone and friends, please spare me this time. Lien frowned and said, I have only met you this time. We are not friends. Besides, what kind of friend can forgive you 55 million in debt? Ron, who stepped Elaine under his feet, also threatened, old stuff, want to go wrong? Have you seen my brothers? I will let them take turns to wait for you, and then I will shoot a video. I think you should be right at your age. When it's like a wolf like a tiger, your husband is afraid it will be difficult to satisfy you, right? Let a dozen lads make you cool today. Elaine was frightened suddenly. She pleaded bitterly, Sister Lien, do you think this will work? I'll call my son-in-law and ask him to bring the house book from the villa. You can let me go, she could see clearly. The dozen or so people standing in front of her were all tattooed, and they were all fierce and evil. This kind of person she can't afford. If I carry on like this, I'm afraid I will be beaten to death, or forced to shoot that kind of video. It seems that Charlie can only come to save himself. Ron smiled coldly at this time and said, "You can call, but you won't let him call the police for you." "Absolutely not," Elaine said hastily. "Can I fight in front of you?" Ron said with a cold face, "Before you call, you should take off all your clothes and let me take a 360-degree video with no dead ends. If you dare to call the police in the future, or be careful, I will send the video online." Elaine was struck by lightning. "Want to make a video? I am in my 50s. Do these people want to make videos of me? If this video goes out, do you want your old face? Moreover, as long as you take this video yourself, it is basically equivalent to handing over your biggest handle to the other party. With this as a threat, she is a doll at the mercy of others. If you dare not repay the money, or call the police, the other party can publish this video and make her the laughing stock of Oris Hill. You can't shoot this video." When she thought of this, Elaine couldn't help but cry. A strong sense of humiliation suddenly came to her heart. She cried and pleaded, "Please don't make me a video. I will call my son-in-law honestly, fight in front of you, and fight now. Let him bring the house book now. One more word I will not speak nonsense." Ron didn't buy her account, and looked at her coldly. "My rules are like this, everything just in case. Today's video, you have to shoot, if you don't, you have to shoot, there is no other option. If you take the initiative to take off your clothes, then we will all be in peace, but if you don't take the initiative to cooperate, then I can let my subordinates give you a hard bow." As he said, he looked at Elaine up and down, and said with an obscene smile, "Yes, I forgot to tell you, now Japanese people like to buy movies from China. A woman like you should fit the Japanese market well. Then I will sell the video to Japan, maybe you will become a celebrity." Elaine almost fainted in fright. Upon hearing this, she dared not bargain any more, and immediately said with tears in humiliation, "Can I cooperate?" "I must cooperate," Ron nodded, kicked Elaine, and scolded, "Go in and take it off by yourself." Elaine was kicked and crawled to the next bedroom, lying on the bed, tearing off while taking off her clothes. At the moment when she took off her clothes, Elaine burst into tears, and her whole body collapsed. She only felt that all her face had been lost for this life. Ron sneered and took out his phone, and said while filming, "Yes, I didn't expect you Lady Wilson to have a pretty figure." Elaine covered her face and cried, but there was no way to cry. Ron had no sympathy for her. In fact, Lien had already arranged everything. When Lien was playing mahjong with Elaine, he brought his brothers and waited outside the villa area. He waited for a call from Lien, and then came in and used force to force Elaine to submission. When the video was finished, Ron walked out with a tearful Elaine, and said coldly, "Okay, now call your family and ask them to come over and pay the money, otherwise, I will send the video to the group, let everyone open their eyes." Elaine nodded immediately and hurriedly said, "I'll call my son-in-law." Although 10,000 people in her heart could not look down upon Charlie, at this time, only Charlie could save her. Ron took her video without worrying about her playing tricks, and said lightly, "Hurry up and let him come, or you will die miserably." Elaine didn't dare to play tricks, and immediately took out her mobile phone and dialed Charlie. Charlie was on the 10th floor of the Brilliant Club, watching Jacob drinking tea, eating snacks, singing, and chatting with a group of classmates, recalling the past, but felt that the feelings of these old men were quite enviable. At this moment, he suddenly heard the phone ring, picked it up and found that it was his mother-in-law Elaine. He couldn't help but be a little curious. The mother-in-law rarely took the initiative to call him unless she was cheated by father. For example, she was scammed by P2P and she had to get him over and shout slogans to collect debt. He instinctively didn't want to answer Elaine's call, but after thinking about it carefully, it was Claire's mother after all. If he didn't answer her call, he might have to file a complaint with Claire. So he walked out of box 1008, put on the phone, and asked, "Mom, are you okay?" Elaine's anxious voice came over immediately, "Charlie, your mom lost some money playing mahjong, now I am not allowed to leave, you have to save me." Charlie got big for a while, so he said, "Mom, I don't have much money, just 10 or 20,000, is that enough?" Elaine didn't know how much Charlie had. Although Charlie had money, he didn't want to spend it on Elaine, so he deliberately pretended to be poor and said a number of 10 to 20,000. Elaine blurted out at this moment, "Charlie, Mom doesn't want your money." "Okay?" Charlie was a little startled, "What? Don't want my money? When is the mother-in-law a person?" Surprised, Elaine almost vomited blood with anger in the next sentence. "Just listen to," Elaine said, "Charlie, you just bring the villa paper that Solomon White gave you." "What?" Charlie blurted out, "Mom, do you know how much the villa is worth?" 130 million. "Don't tell me, you can lose 100 million by playing mahjong with some old ladies in the mahjong hall." Elaine suddenly choked up and said, "I didn't reach 100 million, so I lost more than 60 million and owed another 55 million. After finishing speaking, Elaine blurted out, "My good son-in-law, you must bring it to save Mom. If you don't save Mom, Mom will be dead this time." Charlie blurted out, "Mom, this villa is worth 130 million. You have to send the villa out for 55 million. Elaine was anxious and cried, "My good son-in-law, then you go find a way to get 55 million over here. If you can't get it, just bring the house book with you. Otherwise, Mom will die. At that time, you can only come with Claire to collect the corpse." Immediately afterwards, another man's voice came from the phone and said, "You are Elaine's son-in-law, right? Get over here with the house book, otherwise your mother-in-law can't get out of this villa today." Charlie frowned and asked, "Who are you?" The other party immediately shouted, "You are not qualified to know who I am. You only need to know that your mother-in-law owes 55 million. If you don't give money, just wait to collect her body." Then the other party said, "Oh yes, just now your mother-in-law took off all her clothes and asked me to take a high-definition video. If you don't save her, after her death, this video will be spread throughout the city." Charlie was on fire. He doesn't care if you beat Elaine, scold Elaine, or even force Elaine, kill Elaine, and he might even thank them. But if they shoot that kind of video for her, and want to spread it all over the city, it's hard to bear. Because Charlie was worried that if his wife Claire saw such a video, wouldn't she be sad to death? She was such a kind girl who had spent all her private money to help her rescue Aunt Lena in the welfare home, and she even cried several times. Even at the birthday banquet of Mrs. Wilson, she also withstood the ridicule and pressure of the whole family for Aunt Lena, begging Mrs. Wilson for him. If her mother, Elaine, was killed, and that kind of video was still circulated everywhere after her death, it would be a fatal blow to her, and she might be immersed in great pain for her entire life. He really doesn't care about Elaine's life or death, but he cares about Claire. Over the years, Claire has always respected him as a guest, and the whole world despised him at that time. Even, she continues to help and encourage him. With such kindness, it is too late to repay her. How can she be hurt again? Thinking of this, he immediately said to the man, "Don't hurt my mother-in-law, isn't it just a villa? I will give it to you, you give me an address, and I will come with the house book now." As soon as the other party heard this, he immediately said, "Thompson Villa C11, you bring your own house book. If you dare to call the police, I will kill your mother-in-law." Charlie gave a hum, and said lightly, "Okay, I'll bring it there." After hanging up the phone, Charlie went back to the box and greeted Jacob, saying, "Dad, I have to go out beforehand. You continue to play. If you need anything, just tell the waiter, these will be recorded in Mr. Orville account." "Okay." Jacob nodded, patted Charlie on the shoulder, and said, "My dear son-in-law, thank you so much today. If it weren't for you, Dad would be ashamed today." Charlie smiled slightly, "Dad, I only found out today. Actually, it has not been easy for you these years. Your son-in-law should also help you earn some face." Jacob was so moved that he nodded and sighed. Charlie didn't tell him more, got up, and walked out. Instead of going home to pick up the house book, he directly stopped a taxi and went straight to Thompson. On the way, he called Mr. Orville. As soon as the phone call, Orville asked respectfully, "Mr. Wade, what do you want?" Charlie said, "Send someone to Thompson or come yourself. My mother-in-law has lost more than 60 million in mahjong games, and now she is detained. I think this is a bit wrong, and 80% of it has been set up. You come over with me to see what is going on." After Orville listened, he was furious. In Oris Hill, there are some people who don't have eyesight, so they set up Mr. Wade's mother-in-law? Is this not looking for death? So he immediately said, "Mr. Wade, I will take someone over to join you and hack to death him." Soon, Charlie came to Thompson and found the villa where his mother-in-law was. After knocking on the door and entering, he saw a dozen gangsters surrounding Elaine, who was disheveled in the living room. Elaine was slapped and her whole face was red and swollen. She looked very pitiful with disheveled hair. In addition, there are two middle-aged women who Charlie doesn't know. Looking carefully, even Horia is here. Charlie was taken aback for a moment. Why is this person here? Horia saw Charlie with a slight guilty conscience, but soon calmed down a lot. She felt that his mother-in-law did not lose money to her. She just watched the fun. What can he do to her? At this moment, Elaine saw him coming. She burst into tears, and wailed, "Charlie, my good son-in-law, why are you here so late? Mom is so anxious to die for you. Charlie looked at the chicken-feathered mother-in-law, and asked, Mom, playing mahjong, how can you lose more than 60 million? How do I know that I am so unlucky? Elaine cried and said, Your aunt asked me to play mahjong. I was thinking about playing mahjong. Who knows that after a few laps with them, the more I lost, they force me to mortgage your Thompson first-class villa to them. There was no way for me to escape. After speaking, Elaine said with an angry look, I suspect that these people are deliberately ganging up to cheat my money. Charlie sneered and said, Don't doubt it, they are just cheating you. Lien blurted out at this time, Hey, don't spit your mouth. We were in a voluntary mahjong game. Who is to blame for your mother-in-law's bad luck? Ron on the side blurted out, Second aunt, what are you talking nonsense to him? I will tell him. After all, looking at Charlie, he said coldly, Hurry up and call out the book, and then write a voluntary transfer statement, otherwise, you and your mother-in-law will not want to leave alive today. Oh! Charlie nodded faintly, and said, I didn't bring the book. When Elaine heard this, she was immediately anxious. Her face changed, and her whole body became angry, and she blurted out, Charlie, you want to kill me? Didn't I tell you, let you bring the book to save me? You don't have long ears. Charlie said calmly, I'm sorry, I promised Claire that this house will be renovated next month, and I will take her to move in. I can't break my promise to her. Elaine cursed, Do you want Claire to bring me filial piety to live in that villa? If you don't take the villa out, I'll be dead. Charlie said lightly, You can't die today. It's up to you. Elaine was mad and scolded, Have you not seen a dozen or so people? If you want to die, don't drag me down, okay? At this time, Ron observed at Charlie with bad eyes, smiled coldly, and asked, Boy, let you not bring your housekeeper, dare to play with me? Believe it or not, you have to die here. Charlie said indifferently, I only give you a chance to survive. You answer my questions well, and I will spare your life and listen carefully. Who arranged this game today? Ron laughed out loud, It's interesting, you are alone on my site, and you dare to threaten me? You are so brave. Are you tired of life? Charlie smiled slightly and asked him, Where is your site? Ron stomped his foot and said coldly, This villa belongs to me. Charlie nodded and smiled and asked, Then, do you know where is my territory? Ron asked contemptuously, What? Do you want to cross the road with me? Okay, let's talk about it, which is your site? Charlie said calmly, The entire Oris Hill is my site. Grass. Ron scolded, Oris Hill is your place? You are the Mr. Orville to eat dry food? I tell you, my eldest brother is the godson of the Master Orville. In Oris Hill, no one provokes me. Can afford me. Even if Mr. Orville is here, he still has to kneel in front of me. What are you? Charlie snorted, stretched out a finger, and said to him, Last chance, tell me honestly, who set up the game today? You stupid, Ron angrily, dare to be disrespectful to the master, I'll kill you. As soon as the voice fell, Ron felt that his right hand was suddenly grasped by a strong force. Looking up, Charlie had firmly grasped his right wrist. At this time, Charlie grinned and said, "Come on, I will give you a 12 rings." Ron blurted out subconsciously, "What 12 sounds?" Charlie suddenly grabbed his right thumb and smashed it back slightly. With a click, the thumb snapped straight back. Ron's finger was suddenly broken, and he shouted in pain. Charlie smiled lightly at this time and said, "This is the first sound." After all, grabbed his right index finger and broke again. There was another click. Charlie smiled and said, "This is the second sound." Ron's painful whole person was about to collapse, and his face was full of cold sweat. He hysterically yelled at the younger brothers behind him, "Hack him to death." As soon as the voice fell, Charlie broke the index finger of his right hand again. Crack! Charlie smiled and said, "Here, this is the third ring." "Ah, it hurts me to death, hack him to death." More than a dozen younger brothers have already drawn out their machetes at this moment and swarmed. Charlie remained unchanged. A dozen gangsters were just a few, in front of him, it was nothing. So, he continued to break Ron's ring finger. Crack! Ron's fourth finger was broken. At this moment, the dozen or so shining machetes were already hanging in front of Charlie. Ron's 4 fingers were broken continuously, and he almost passed out with pain. However, he was overjoyed when he saw that his little brothers had already swung their swords in front of him. "Are you breaking my finger? Then I will let my brothers chop off your fingers." Charlie didn't care about it, just a dozen gangsters, not enough. When he was about to do it, an angry shout suddenly came from outside the door, "Stop! Who dares to move Mr. Wade and hack to death on the spot?" A dozen punks looked up and almost peed their pants without being scared. Orville. It turned out to be Orville, the underground emperor of Oris Hill. Why is he here? At this time, Mr. Orville brought his most powerful subordinates, and the various guns of these subordinates were by no means comparable to ordinary punks. After the men with guns came in, they immediately pointed their guns at the gangsters with knives, frightening them all to throw their knives on the ground. One of the younger brothers was frightened and knelt on the ground with a thud, crying and said, "Great Mr. Orville, please spare my life." When he knelt, everyone else knelt down. They are nothing more than a bunch of low-level brothers. In front of Orville, they are like ants, naturally scared to death. Ron was also shocked. What happened? Why is the Master Orville here? At this time, Orville walked quickly to Charlie and blurted out, "Mr. Wade, I'm sorry, I am late." Charlie waved his hand and said, "Let your people shut all these young people in the room first." Mr. Orville nodded immediately and asked the younger brothers to shut the group of people into the next room. Afterwards, Charlie looked at Ron, who was pale, and said with a smile, "I said that the 12 rings are good, and it is only 4 rings now, let's continue." Having said that, he directly broke Ron's little finger on his right hand. Crack! Ron called out painfully. Mr. Orville on the side said, "Mr. Wade, with this kind of little guy, you can't afford to waste time, so just hand it to me. I will take it to the kennel and let my dozen or so Tibetan Mastiffs tear him directly." Ron was shocked and blurted out, "Great Mr. Orville, Great Mr. Orville, this is all a misunderstanding. I am Wee Eye's little brother. We eyes. Mr. Orville frowned. Are you with we eyes? Ron nodded repeatedly and cried and said, We eyes is my elder brother, so counting down, I am also your disciple, Master Orville. Mr. Orville observed at him closely and asked, Do you know, whose disciple I am? Ron subconsciously said, Great Mr. Orville, you are the underground emperor of Oris Hill, of course you are not anyone's disciples. Mr. Orville slapped his face, pointed at Charlie, and said to him, I am Mr. Wade's disciple. What? Disciple, not even the little brother. The famous Orville said that he was the disciple of this young man. In other words, he was extremely humble in front of this young man. Ron was trembling with fright by this relationship chain. What's going on? The second aunt asked him to calculate Lady Wilson, and asked that Lady Wilson's son-in-law to ask for a villa. Didn't expect that the other party was Mr. Orville's boss? Liane also frightened her legs and weakened. She observed at Horia pale, and asked in a low voice, Who is it that you offend? You want to kill me? Horia was also dumbfounded. She knew that Charlie seemed to be fooling people with feng shui, but I didn't expect it to be so powerful. Elaine was also a little dumbfounded at this time. Deed, her son-in-law is really amazing. Fudge, so many big people, there is no thunder yet? There are indeed 2 brushes. Ron was already trembling with fright. He said to Charlie bluntly, Mr. Wade, I was wrong. I was fooled by my second aunt. She said that she wanted to pit your mother-in-law. She used me. Charlie slapped him directly, and slapped his face fiercely, and said coldly, Before the 12 ringings are over, if you dare to say one more word, I will let Mr. Orville split you into hundreds. Ron was frightened by Charlie's fierce gaze, and immediately closed his mouth. Charlie looked at his right hand that had broken 5 fingers at this time, and said lightly, The right hand is still almost loud, come, get ready. After speaking, grab his wrist and make a violent force. Click. Ron's right wrist was completely broken. Ron's painful legs softened and knelt on the ground with a puff. He wanted to beg for mercy, but when he thought of what Charlie said just now, he dared not say another word. However, this piercing pain has already caused him to collapse. But Charlie said at this time, 12 bangs, this is just 6 bangs, and there are still 6 bangs. After finishing speaking, he bent down and grabbed Ron's left hand. Ron looked at Charlie with tears and dared not speak. He used pitiful eyes and panicked, shaking his head to beg Charlie for mercy. Charlie gave him a cruel smile. Then, grabbing the thumb of his left hand, he said lightly, Come on, the 7th ring. Ron trembled in pain. Charlie didn't give him a chance to react, and continued, Come on, the 8th ring. Ron was already in pain and was about to faint. However, the 9th ring revived him. Charlie at this time, in his eyes, is as terrible and cruel as the Shura of Hall. Charlie patted his face and smiled faintly, There are 4 more rings, don't miss it. Then, there was another click. This disciplinary method of cutting meat with a blunt knife, even Orville feels liver tremors. There are 3 more rings. Liane was already paralyzed by fear at this time. She could vaguely realize that after her nephew had endured Charlie's 12 sounds, she would be the one who is unlucky next. Horia wanted to slip away quickly, but was soon brought back by one of Mr. Orville's younger brothers, who pointed a gun to his head, and was kicked to the ground. The black muzzle pointed at her forehead and frightened her to death. At this time, Ron had already endured 11 rings. At this time, his 10 fingers on both hands were as soft as beans hanging from a vine, and none of his 10 fingers could move. Now he only has his left wrist to move. Charlie said to him, "Come on, it's the last one." Ron was so painful that he couldn't kneel anymore. He could only let Charlie grab his left wrist and break his wrist directly. 12 rings. Ron howled in pain. He knew that he would be a useless person in the future. 10 fingers and 2 wrists were all useless. What else could he do in the future? Continue to mix in the society? Can he still hold a knife? If he won't be hacked to death by the enemy, it's already burning incense, right? Charlie squatted down at this time, looked at Ron, and said coldly, "You still have 2 legs and 2 feet, so if you don't answer my question well in the future, I will give you 12 more rings." Ron's face was pale as frost, and he said in despair, "No matter what questions you ask, I will answer them seriously." Charlie nodded, glanced at the trembling Horia and Lien, and said coldly, "You tell me clearly what was going on today here. Dare to miss any details, don't ask for your 2 legs, start now." When Ron heard this, he panicked and hurriedly pointed at Lien and said, "Mr. Wade, that's my second aunt. She called me yesterday and said that she was going to set up a bureau for a woman and set her up. Big money, let me come over and sing blackface when the time comes," so I agreed. After speaking, Ron hurriedly said again, "Mr. Wade, I was really taken advantage of." Charlie glanced at Lien, and Lien was frightened. Charlie pointed at her and beckoned, "You, come here." Lien did not dare to neglect, and hurriedly crawled to the front, and said tremblingly, "Mr. Wade, a misunderstanding. I didn't know that Elaine is your mother-in-law, who gave me 10,000 courage. I dare not lie to her, right?" After she finished speaking, she pointed to Horia and blurted out, "This stinky lady named Horia is hurting me. She said that her younger siblings are very rich and terrible, so she always wanted to teach her. Just ask me to make a round with her, wanting to win your mother-in-law's villa." Horia was also frightened and hurriedly said, "Charlie, this is a misunderstanding. I didn't want to lie to your mother-in-law. I was also deceived by this Lien. Lien seemed to behave badly in front of me all day long. I think it's true that I can't play. I want to bring your mother-in-law over to make a fortune, but I didn't expect it, but was cheated by her." When Elaine heard this, she scolded angrily, "Horia, you bitch still want to lie to my money and villa." Horia was clever. She stepped back and waved her hand, "Don't talk nonsense, I don't have one." Lien cursed coldly, "Do you dare to deny it? Okay, then I will show Mr. Wade to see our chat history." After speaking, she quickly took out her mobile phone, opened WeChat, and played a voice. In the voice, Horia's voice came, "Sister Lien, I heard you have returned to Oris Hill." Lien's voice followed, "Yes, I just came back 2 days ago." "Horia, Sister Lien, you have been a croupier in Macau casinos for so many years. You must have a good job at the table, right?" "Lien, I dare not dare, I can barely rank in the top 5 in Macau, but in Oris Hill, I dare to say that there is no one I can't win. Horia, that's already amazing. Sister Lien, I have a way to make a fortune. I wonder if you are interested. Lien, you probably introduce it. Horia, I have a younger sister, who is quite rich. The villa of Thompson's first-rate house is worth more than 100 million, and this stupid dog is addicted to gambling. Some are means. How about I call her over, you set up a round and win her a good deal. Lien, a villa worth more than 100 million? Is it true? Horia, it's true. Lien, that's okay, but after it's done, I want 60%. Horia, no problem. You will be 6 and I will be 4. When the voice was played, Horia was already frightened. She hurriedly said to Charlie, Charlie, I didn't mean it, I am your big aunt, we are all a family. Charlie looked at her and said lightly, let's talk about your business later. After speaking, let someone drag her aside. Afterwards, he looked at Lien, smiled and asked, I heard that your 1,000 skills are very powerful. Lien hurriedly explained, Mr. Wade, in fact, 1,000 skills are little tricks for cheating, and I only know a little bit of fur. Charlie nodded and asked, how did you mainly cheat in this case today? Lien hurriedly explained, this mahjong machine is customized. I can directly preset all the cards from the 4 companies in the computer in advance, and then start it with my mobile phone at any time. When the mahjong machine automatically shuffles the cards, we'll follow my request, shuffle the cards, and then rise up. After that, she further explained, when the time comes, I will use the software to control the number of dice, and specify who will take which card. I will give your mother-in-law several cards from the sky, but they are all dead ends. It's a card that can't be won in a lifetime. Plus Horia and Nivea cooperate with me, so I won't lose even more. After listening to her, Charlie nodded lightly and asked, how many people have you harmed with this method? Lien hurriedly said, not much, not much, I don't usually do this kind of thing. Charlie frowned and asked, how many gamblers did you help the casino win in Macau? Among these gamblers, how many people went bankrupt, sold children and sold girls, or even died? This, Lien was already sweating profusely. Over the years, she has done a lot of such evil things, and I don't know how many people have gone bankrupt. Gambling itself is an abyss that can swallow everything. Some people fall into it by themselves, and some people fall into it with their entire family. However, Lien never cared about the life and death of these victims. She felt that this was her ability to eat. How could she win if others didn't lose? Therefore, she has never felt guilty. But Charlie could see through the heart of such a person at a glance. Such people are the cruelest and most ruthless vampires in the world. She lives by sucking other people's blood, so she doesn't care if others will die or how terrible they will die after being sucked up by herself. Charlie naturally has no sympathy for this kind of person. He looked at Lien playfully and said with a smile, let's do it, how about a few games with us? Lien was stunned, and asked in surprise, Mr. Wade, what are you going to play? Charlie said, I don't know how to gamble. I don't know how to play poker, mahjong, or pai gow. I only know one kind, rock paper scissors. Lien asked puzzledly, are you going to play rock paper scissors with me? Charlie nodded. Yes, I will play rock paper scissors with you. A handful of 10 million, what do you think? This, Lien said nervously. Mr. Wade, I dare not play with you, Charlie said. You have to play, and you have to play if you don't. Lien nodded in a panic. That's okay, then listen to Mr. Wade. After speaking, she couldn't help asking, Mr. Wade, how do we play? Charlie smiled and said, don't worry, I have to make a preparation before playing. Prepare for work. Lien looked surprised. Charlie smiled and said, don't you know the preparations? Just like you designed to cheat for my mother-in-law, I also want to give you a lot of money. Ah! Lien was even more puzzled. Rock, paper, scissors, what can you do? I've been 1,000 years old for a lifetime, and I don't know how this thing has become 1,000 people. Is it deliberately a few seconds behind the opponent? If you are optimistic about what others will do, what can you do to restrain them? Isn't this too low level? When she didn't know why, Charlie suddenly grabbed her right hand, straightened all her 5 fingers, and slammed it hard. Click! 5 fingers broke at the same time. Lien screamed in pain, but Charlie lifted her left hand, and also snapped off the 5 fingers of her left hand. Now, Lien's fingers can no longer be controlled, and the 10 fingers are only connected to the skin, and they hang naturally. Charlie said indifferently, with your hand, I assume that you make cloth by default. If you want to make a rock, you have to make a fist with 5 fingers. If you want to make scissors, you have to make a V. Do you understand? Lien cried and said, Mr. Wade, all of my 10 fingers are broken. I can't get out of rocks and scissors. Charlie said disdainfully, then I don't care, you can't get out, it has nothing to do with me. Besides, when you give a lot of money to others, isn't it also a chance for the other party not to win? Let you taste it today. What do you mean by the way of the person, and the body of the person? Lien collapsed. Unexpectedly, Charlie looked harmless to humans and astupidals, and his methods were so ruthless. He broke her 10 fingers, and then played rock paper scissors with her. Now she can only produce cloth. Wouldn't he lose as many as he plays? Charlie looked at Lien at this time and said blankly, come on, let's start. With that, Charlie waved his hands while muttering in his mouth, scissors, rocks, cloth. As soon as the voice fell, he immediately gestured a scissors hand. Lien couldn't control her fingers at all, so she could only look at Charlie with the eyes of a dead mother. Charlie smiled slightly and said, I produce scissors and you produce cloth. I won. You owe me 10 million. After speaking, Charlie said again, come on, let's play the second one. Scissors, rock, cloth. Oh, I won again, you owe me 20 million. Come on, the third one. Scissors, rock, cloth. You are really sincere, why do you always make money? You really can't do anything about it. You owe me 30 million. Charlie amused himself, and soon won 10 against Lien, accumulating 100 million. So Charlie said to her, come on, settle the account. Lien cried and said, Mr. Wade, I don't have so much money. Charlie waved his hand, then I don't care, Call your family, your daughter-in-law, your son-in-law and daughter-in-law, and your husband. Bring all the money in your family and all the real estate that can be mortgaged. If 100 million is less than 1 point, I will send you and all the people in your household register who are over 18 years old to work in the black coal mine to repay debts. A monthly salary of 2,000, when will it be enough for 100 million, and only then will you be free? After speaking, he asked Mr. Orville, do you know the man who operates the black coal kiln? I know. Mr. Orville blurted out, I have a few buddies who committed something in Orris Hill a few years ago, and later went to open coal mines in Jinx, and they can all be sent at any time. Very good. Charlie nodded and said to Lien, come on, take the initiative to explain, how many people are there in your household registration? Lien was frightened and knelt on the ground and cried, Mr. Wade, my son and daughter are all high-achieving students who graduated from prestigious universities. They are now social pillars. You can't ruin their lives. Charlie sneered and said, okay, your own children are all graduates from famous universities? But what about the families you have killed? Can their children still eat? Can they survive? Let alone go to school. A prestigious university. When you ruined their lives, why didn't you consider them? Lien regrets and fears, and her face is particularly pale. She did kill a lot of people, and countless people were ruined by her, but she never cared. She wants to make money, as long as she makes money, nothing else matters. So now the retribution is coming. Charlie wants to send all the sons and daughters she has cultivated to the black coal mine to dig coal. It is the best punishment for her to personally destroy her life's deceitful and abducted efforts. Lien was also frightened and cried and said, Mr. Wade, I really knew it was wrong. If you ask for money, I can give you all of my money. I have been in Macau for many years, and I have saved some money. I have a total of 20 million in my hand. I will give you all of this money. Please let my son and daughter go. With that, she immediately took out her mobile phone, opened the mobile banking, and showed the balance to Charlie. There are more than 21 million in her personal account. Charlie said indifferently, you donate all of these 2 and 1 million to the official donation account of Project Hope. Having said that, he took out his mobile phone and found the official account of Project Hope, handed it to Lien, and said coldly, transfer now. Lien hurriedly asked, Mr. Wade, if I donate this money, you can let me go. Charlie sneered and said, you still want to bargain with me? Lien was so frightened by Charlie that she hurriedly picked up her mobile phone and transferred all her money according to the donation account of Project Hope that Charlie found. After all the transfers, she handed the phone to Charlie, crying, and said, Mr. Wade, I have donated all the money, and the account balance is already 0. Can you let me go now? After Charlie confirmed that she had donated all the money, he said coldly, don't forget, you just owed me 100 million when you played rock paper scissors. You donated more than 20 million, and you still owe me many more. Lien cried and said, Mr. Wade, the more than 20 million just now was my wealth. Charlie nodded and said, didn't I tell you? Send all of your household registration to the black coal mine to dig coal for 2,000 a month. When will you pay more than 70 million in gambling debt? Let you go when the time comes. Lien collapsed and blurted out, Mr. Wade, $2,000 a month, only $24,000 a year, and I can't make so much money to pay off her debts to death." Charlie asked her back, "Those people who have been ruined by your gang to go bankrupt and have a lot of debts, how did they repay their debts? Have you ever thought about it? If you know today, why bother?" Having said that, Charlie asked Ron, "Please tell me honestly, who are your second aunts, who are your immediate family members?" Ron hurriedly said, "She has a husband, a son, and a daughter. The son was married the year before. The daughter-in-law's family opened a black casino in Oris Hill. Her daughter just got married last month and found a son-in-law to do it. Microloans specialize in young college students and have forced several college students to jump off the building." Charlie nodded and said coldly, "Okay, Lian has given birth to 2 children, one is married to the daughter of the owner of Kaihei Casino, and the other is married for a small loan arranger. Your family is really a nest of snakes and rats." After that, he immediately took out his phone and sent Isaac a WeChat. The content of the WeChat is, "There is a woman named Lian who has just returned from Macau in Oris Hill. Please help me check her family and bring her husband, son, and daughter-in-law, all to Thompson C11. Although Mr. Orville was an underground emperor in Oris Hill, it was only an underground world. If he was asked to directly tie up these people, he could tie them over with his ability, but the subsequent things might not be able to suppress them. But Isaac is different. Isaac is the spokesperson of the Wade family in Oris Hill. In Oris Hill, even the Song family's old master, he must be polite when meeting him. Therefore, Isaac has almost nothing impossible to accomplish in Oris Hill." After receiving Charlie's order, Isaac didn't have any delay and immediately sent people to investigate and search for Lian's family. Lian was crying bitterly at this time, and knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Charlie, begging for forgiveness. Her forehead was already bleeding and she didn't dare to stop. But Charlie didn't sympathize with her at all. She has caused so many people to bankrupt their families, and it is time for her to have a taste of bankruptcy. However, now she can only taste the feeling of bankruptcy once, which is already very cheap for her. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.